Hey, what's up? It's Travel Chronicles. I think we're calling it chapter 22. We may have skipped some. That's cool. Big thing today, like I already did two this week. I normally would just kind of relax and chill here later in the week, but big thing happened yesterday was they're getting rid of Aunt Jemima. And if you're watching this sometime in the future and you have no idea what an Aunt Jemima is, it was a cereal, essentially. I think there's some other breakfast-related products that have the Aunt Jemima label on that are part of the Quaker Oats family. And I get it, right? Like, this Aunt Jemima is a caricature of someone who was alive during the slave era. Probably worked in the kitchen, right? I think even the earlier depictions of her, she had a red scarf on, which is somehow related to slavery, or, you know, clothing that slaves would wear. So I totally get it, right? Like, this is a bad image. This is something that probably shouldn't be here, and it's existed for 130 years. Is also, you know, part of the problem is that as a white person, I'm not looking at Aunt Jemima going, "Oh my goodness, we've got to get rid of this. This is not right. We should not be doing this." Didn't even think about it. Didn't even care. You know, this was not even on the radar as being some type of social issue. And it's fine. Should we get rid of it? Yeah, we should. We should get rid of this. This should not exist in 2020. But you know, here's the thing we don't want to lose sight on, though. This isn't the end all be all to the Black Lives Matter movement. You want Black Lives Matter to actually affect black lives. Okay, we got rid of Aunt Jemima. Okay, that company's owned or was started by a bunch of white people. So they're getting rid of Aunt Jemima. Are they replacing it with another black female? Are they doing a white person, perhaps? And then you get into these other products, like they want to take Uncle Ben off of Uncle Ben's rice. I don't know if they want to do that or not. I mean, like, Uncle Ben is less, I think it has to be less offensive, right? Because it's just a picture of a guy on a box. And that's Uncle Ben, right? It's just relatable because, hey, this could be your uncle, right? Even though if you're white and it's a black guy, it's like, it's probably not my uncle, but they still eat that rice. They still like that rice. And I don't think I don't know, maybe I haven't looked that closely. I'll be honest, like, I haven't looked closely at Uncle Ben. Is he dressed up like he was in the slave trade? I don't know. I don't think. I think he just kind of looked like a normal guy. Like, I think they want to get rid of Uncle Ben. Maybe Uncle Ben's cool. If there's somebody has a problem with the name, I don't get that one. Okay, that one's wasn't on my radar at all. Aunt Jemima wasn't on the radar. Uncle Ben is less likely to have been on the radar. And then some people said they're going after Mrs. Butterworth. Mrs. Butterworth is an old white woman. She's white. Like, every depiction of her. Okay, one, it's a clear plastic bottle that happens to be filled with syrup that's of a darker color. So yeah, she looks dark. The bottle is clear. It's a plastic bottle, is what we're arguing about. And that bottle is in every commercial where she's talked or anything, that's a white person's voice, right? And I think even the wiki page says the depiction is a white person. So, okay, we're not going after Mrs. Butterworth, right? Like, she's completely off the table. She has to be fine. Aunt Jemima, I get it. But here's the other thing. right? The Black Lives Matter movement, you don't want to waste time going after cereal bottles. Okay, that's not affecting real change. It's like, okay, we're going to get this caricature of someone who was alive during the slave era out of our eyesight. God, fine, cool. You want to get rid of the statues and stuff, cool. But you don't want the peak or the result of the movement to be, well, we got rid of some statues and Aunt Jemima's gone. That was the end of it. That's as good as we did. No. Like the real thing, and give you some insight here, right? The real thing that's going to affect change here is, one, housing, right? Affecting like project housing, giving people an ability to own a house, an apartment, something to where all this money that they're putting in, they can have some type of tangible value and build their credit. That is going to help the black community. Beyond that, education in inner city areas that are densely populated with blacks, African Americans, whatever the correct term is now. But I don't want to necessarily say funnel money in there, but better education system, infrastructure, pathways for kids to get to colleges, those types of things, improving the education arena. All right. Then beyond that, if college ain't for everybody, and it's not for, and I say that as somebody that, like, for white people as well, especially now. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, yeah, graduate high school, next step is college. You should go to college. You should try college. College has gotten so expensive. Even like public colleges now are like $12,000, $15,000 a year. It's like it's a huge commitment if you're not going for something that's going to give you payback on that expense. So if you're going to get a degree in, I'm not even sure, some type of low-level art stuff that doesn't even come back to like a teaching thing. Like, I mean, you have to really be committed to that. It can't just be, I don't know what I'm going to take. I'm just going to go to college and then I'll figure it out. And it's you need to have a plan going to college now to make the most of your time and money. And if you're not, then hey, we need paths to trade schools. Okay, you need people that can actually do things. You need electricians. You need plumbers. You need carpenters. You need people that can go and like to work with their hands. Maybe that's why I say school's not for everybody. People don't want to sit in a classroom, read books, take tests. People want to get out and do stuff. And that's fine. And I think you got to give people an opportunity, a path to do that. And I don't think there's a lot of that in that community where there's a pathway to trades. And I think that's, historically not something that has been built up in that community, because when it's like, okay, you're free, when all the slaves were free, all right, well, what did you do? Well, I worked in a field. Okay, it's not really a marketable trade, and that's what gets handed down generation to generation. It's not a lot of marketable skills, so somebody has to go outside, and if they go outside, then they probably leave that area, right? And that's, part of the issue. But back to the original idea here. You don't want to get distracted from this movement. You want to focus on the things that are going to affect real change, and not the things that just look like we change stuff. Because non-racist white people want to be distracted by things. They don't want to look at real issues. They don't want stuff staring them in the face of, hey, look, these people need help over here. If you do this will help them to get better, but it's going to take some effort. No, it's like they want to sit back and complain about pancake syrup. That's way easier. and it's disappointing, but you don't want to lose the momentum, right? You don't want to have this conversation because it was so focused there right at the start, and now it's starting to kind of splinter off, right? And this is what, the people that are, I don't want to say pushing systematic racism, but even the people who are behind it, or people who have been subconsciously influenced by it, like, this is what they look for. It's like, okay, yeah, let's get rid of Aunt Jemima, and it's like, wait, we can't get rid of Aunt Jemima. We really like Aunt Jemima. It's not affecting, it's not hurting anybody, and it's, whatever the argument is to somehow keep Aunt Jemima. That's where they want the battle to be. They want the battle to be there. They don't want the battle to be in how can we improve housing, education, access to voting, access to higher education, access to trades. We don't want that. Don't look over there. Let's focus on what you're putting on your pancakes and how we can make that better. Nah, it's and there has to be like value in the education, right? People have to look at it and value it, not as just, well, that's just a means for me to get to some type of pro sport. No, it's like you need to really take advantage of the opportunity to get an education, because it is an expensive endeavor. If you're getting it for free, then there's a huge payback, whatever field that you go into, because you'll go into it as a college graduate. So to me, that's a huge advantage. If you can parlay it that way. But I'm starting to wander a little bit here. Anyway, all I want to say is, like, the focus for the whole Black Lives Matter movement needs to be on tangible things that are going to actually affect change. Quaker Oats wants to go out and say, hey, we're going to take Aunt Jemima out of here, and we're going to start, a scholarship fund to HBCs. Cool. That makes a ton of sense. Or they're going to give away scholarships to kids in inner cities, to predominantly black schools, to help them get to college. That makes a ton of sense. But if they're just changing Aunt Jemima out for someone who's less offensive, maybe still of color, or a minority, or something else, then did you really do any good? And Mrs. Butterworth is, like, as a white person, like, I've never really thought about the race of my pancake syrup bottles, but pretty sure Mrs. Butterworth is white. Okay, and let's not forget about Mr. Butterworth, who would be extremely upset if she was fired. Maybe may have something else on your hands there. All right, that's all I got for today. Hopefully nothing else crazy happens the rest of the week. Take it easy. Stay COVID free. Later.